Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Formula One show on the Let's Talk Sport YouTube channel. This week is a preview show, and as you can see from the title on the screen, we will be talking about a certain man in particular. And because we're talking about the Mexican Sergio Perez, it's only right that we have the biggest fan of that man himself, and that is, of course, Jamie Davies. So, Jamie, thank you very much for being on the show today. And I think basically we start off with the main point. We'll obviously go through the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, but the main question really, and obviously we might as well start it off. Do you feel like at this moment in time, obviously we're only two races into a very long season, but do you think Sergio Perez is going to be a title contender this season?
My only concern is that he is the only man that could maybe stop Verstappen because they're in similar cars. But I think right now we always do this, don't we? Where we start off the season where one or two races are in, and this is when everyone can race. But I feel as though my only concern now is apparently Perez said in an interview earlier ahead of Australia this weekend, he basically said that we can race, we can go for it. But let's be honest, this is only the third race coming up. And I just feel as though that always happens in the early rounds. But then when you start to see what the points are looking like after maybe 5 or 6 races, or even if you have an incident that happens before even those races, sometimes that's enough to go, right, we know what we want. You stay back, you go ahead. Like we saw between Verstappen and Ricciardo, didn't we? When they were both Red Bull drivers together.
Yeah.
We saw them clash into each other in Baku. You kind of forget whose fault it was because no one played the blame game in that one. And Horner was probably angry, but he just probably thought, we've got to hope that this just doesn't happen again. So I always thought Red Bull handled that well, but people are starting to say, the media creating a lot of tensions between Perez and Verstappen. Only the real people that know are the two drivers up there. So it's all interesting for the season because I said to you, Perez could be inspired to be like the Nico Rosberg of Red Bull, which is to go against the best driver out of the two. I mean, let's be honest, Verstappen is a much more talented driver. The wins and the championships will tell you that. And his younger days at Toro Rosso and so on. But I do feel as though that's how Perez should be inspired. I'd be on the phone to Nico and just ask him for any advice. What did you do to become a number 2 driver but still achieve the underdog story? Because I don't think we ever saw it with anyone else, did we? Really, like in terms of Bottas, Barrichello as well.
No, I think it was very much, I agree with you, and I was actually going to bring that up in terms of what Nico Rosberg did in 2016 with Lewis Hamilton, and I feel like with Nico Rosberg, it was very much he played the mind game with Lewis Hamilton. He knew that he could get on a certain side of Lewis Hamilton that could maybe disrupt his flow, that could maybe get under his skin, and obviously that caused tension. And I've been reading a book. The last book I've picked up actually was Lee Mackenzie's book that I got for Christmas, and I've only just started reading it. And there's a section, obviously she goes through all the world champions, and she mentions in the section along Lewis Hamilton is that when he won his championship in 2015, which was I think one of his easiest championships when he won in Austin, like he won the championship already by the US Grand Prix, the remaining races of that season Nico Rosberg actually won all of them, which I think, as she mentioned, gave him a full load of confidence going into the 2016 season. And he then ended up winning the first 4 races of that year. And I think it was only when it came to about the Spanish Grand Prix that, and then we saw obviously the two collide at that Spanish Grand Prix, which Max Verstappen then won his first race with his debut race for Red Bull, is when you saw the actual rivalry of that season taking place. So I feel like with Checo, it's very much this season that he needs to stay on top of being consistent, being on the podium. If you can't get first place, get second place. And as you say, maybe 6-7 races in, you see how close he is. I feel like he needs to be within a close points period for Red Bull to feel like they need to maybe stay with the two, because like I said, I feel like I agree with you, if they get to maybe Azerbaijan or further on and it's far further away than we'd like, then obviously Red Bull are going to go straight to obviously Team Verstappen, as they have done over the last few years. But I feel like Sergio Perez has definitely got a chance this year. I mean, you look at Saudi Arabia, for example, he started from pole position, and I feel like apart from that bit where Fernando Alonso took the lead pretty briefly, obviously Perez overtook him, I think, on the fourth lap. And I think it was only the safety car that helped Verstappen obviously overtake, I think it was Russell and Alonso in the end, to actually be in second place. But to be fair, even after the restart, which you thought, oh well, Max Verstappen's got this, he's going to take Perez here, it's only a matter of time, Perez held on for the rest of the race, and I think he kept that gap between 3 to 5 seconds. So I think that race showed you that Sergio Perez has definitely got what it takes. It's just whether he can go the distance with it.
What I want to know with Verstappen though is he fully fit this weekend? Because he wasn't really fully fit last week, not last weekend, the weekend before.
Yeah.
I think luckily for him, he's had a week to kind of recover. But he basically said it was like one of his, I think he said lungs just felt like they'd disappeared, or kidney or whatever. I can't remember what he said, but he said it's like he lost a body part. And he felt it, he felt awful. He just couldn't get out of bed. But I think the fact that he was able to do a whole weekend in F1, which that alone's quite a big shift, not just to do practice, qualifying and a race in very hot conditions in Saudi Arabia, and to deal with the G-force while not feeling 100%, and then still get second place after terrible qualifying. I think that just shows how good he is. But I think that's the problem, where if Verstappen has a great weekend, like pole position in qualifying, I think he's always going to be the favourite to go and win the race, with how only from what we've seen in the racing this season so far, but he dominated that second half of last season, didn't he? So I still think Verstappen wins it comfortably, but I just think that we're only seeing a bit of tension because Perez won the second race.
Yeah.
So it was like an equaliser to make it 1-1. It's a long season ahead. We've still got 21 races, a lot of traveling, a lot of races to see, and again, of course, I really hope we do see a bit more outsiders get involved. Mercedes are saying that they're probably a year behind on Red Bull, which they said today. They seem to reveal quite a lot at the moment, Mercedes, which for any Merc fans, it's like, well, yeah, may as well get a Red Bull cap this season then, and forget about Mercedes glory.
I think they're playing the quiet game. I think like they're probably.
You hope so.
Yeah, I'm hoping they're not as far away as that. I feel sorry for George Russell, the man that joined thinking he was going to win world championships, and they can't even get. They do get on the podium, but then the Fernando Alonso debacle turns around and they actually give him the podium back. But I mean, in terms of Perez, before maybe we move on to the actual preview of the race, I mean, do we, obviously the tension, you mentioned the tension that was caused, I think obviously, that started from the end of last year. Brazil, for me, was an example of that. But, do you think it was quite interesting in terms of the team radios of Sergio Perez and maybe his engineer, in terms of what's the pace that Verstappen's being given, what's the pace that I'm being given, are we still pushing for fastest lap? Because I feel like in the cool down room at the end, it was a bit edgy with the fact that Max told Checo that he got fastest lap at the end, and Checo was a bit like, oh, did you? And it's like, so he thought he was maybe level on points, or he was ahead in the championship, but then Max was like, yeah, no, I'm ahead by 1 point now. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a little bit tense at the minute. So
yeah, but I think that's just maybe that's for Checo, that is annoying, but I think he knows it's fine margins between these two, where he knows Verstappen is a much more gifted racer. I think we can both agree there. And I think Perez may just be reminded from that fastest lap to just go, my God, even when this guy's not fully 100%, he's still amazing. It's proper champions just don't give up. They just throw everything in the ring, and they don't leave without something. It's should easily do like a mentality lecture on it. It's unbelievable what we see in certain athletes in terms of getting what they're after. But I do think that with what happened in Brazil last year, where if Perez had got the position he wanted in Brazil, no thanks to Verstappen, Checo could have had second place in the championship, which isn't bad to say, even if you don't win a world championship. It's the next best thing if you look back in your career.
Yeah.
But I do think as well, all it takes is little things here and there, excuse my language, to piss off Perez, and that is what could give him the incentive to go, no, I'm going to beat you now. You've given me enough blood to go for now. I mean, we saw what happened when Hamilton won the World Championship in 2015. There they are in the cool down room before they go up on the podium. Hamilton's there all happy and thrilled that he's won another World Championship. He looks at the caps, the Pirelli caps that they wear, that says what position they got, and he throws second right at Nico Rosberg. That lands on his lap, and then he throws it right back at Hamilton. I think that alone was the moment Nico Rosberg went, yeah. You're not my teammate anymore. We're in the same group, but we're going for the same thing. So that changes things.
Yeah.
So
I would love to see Checo do it this year. I feel like I can't remember what his contract is and whether it lasts till the end of this season.
Is it
end of this season?
I think so.
Yeah. I just
Ricardo's looking, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like maybe this isn't maybe not Checo's last year. It could be, but I feel like if you are in that position, I feel like he's got to give it everything this year. You know, if the car is as good as it is, I feel like this is probably his one opportunity. And whether that is playing mind games, whether that is trying to maybe do what Nico Rosberg did to Lewis Hamilton, you know, trying and get under Max Verstappen's skin, I feel like it's going to be very difficult with Max Verstappen, because I feel like he is a completely different person, obviously, to Lewis Hamilton in terms of how he works. I feel like when Hamilton and Verstappen were going up against each other, maybe it was Verstappen that was playing them games on Hamilton as well. So I feel like it would be more difficult for Perez to do the same thing, but I feel like he's got to try something. I mean, one thing that Perez could look at is, and I know it affects him as well, but the reliability of the Red Bull it looks super quick, and I feel like we're all worried as fans that they are literally just going to blitz this season. But every race, well, they've had obviously the two races so far, and even in qualifying, they've had issues. You know, Verstappen and Perez. So, you know, could the reliability be a factor for Verstappen in this season? I mean, it could aid Perez, but on the other hand, you know, Perez could be the one that has the issues. So I suppose that's something to look out for as well.
You just never know, because if you have two drivers at each other at the same team, it might invite Aston Martin to just go, look, when they make the mistakes, go get those points. Not to say they go for the championship, but, you know, Aston Martin, a hell of a season for them is to finish second.
Yeah.
You know, Constructors' Championship, what an improvement that would be. After we've seen some bad spells with Aston Martin since the ownership took over. But who knows? You know, I just think that this is what they want. They want the media to create problems at Red Bull. It helps Aston Martin and all that not get talked about, and they just carry on doing their thing, get their head down, and just see what happens. They've got one of the best drivers in F1 representing that team, not Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, just to clarify. But
yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify that. It helps when your dad is the boss. But yeah, I think it's just little things like that. You've got to have a mindset or motive to just try and close the gap as much as you can, even if your car is not as quick as a Red Bull. And we all know that certain tracks help certain other cars as well. So it's not like you wouldn't think Red Bull would be the best in every race. You know, we do see some odd winners here and there, even in dominant seasons. So let's see what it has to offer.
Yeah, and in terms of, obviously, I know we mentioned it at the very beginning, starting off with it, but after that discussion, are you still feeling like Sergio Perez is a title contender, or have we just got to wait and see with Max Verstappen and how dominant he could be this season?
My heart says Perez.
Of course it does.
If I was Perez, this is your last chance.
Yeah.
I feel, for a championship. You're on the right platform. You might not get this again.
Yeah.
And he's in his 30s now, if I'm correct, because he's been in F1 for 12 years, which is a long career actually. You know, I never thought he'd be around for this long. You know, I've been supporting him from day one. I didn't think he'd be even in a top team, to tell you the truth. I thought the McLaren days or leaving the Ferrari program ruined that chance, but here he is. But I just think Perez can easily look at Bottas and go, you know, close, but just not quite good enough. He might look at that and think, because I still think Perez could get a contract elsewhere if he's not going to stay at Red Bull. I think people like how he manages his tyres and his experience of podiums now and wins. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
And even his fan base will help with the sponsorships, no doubt, from Mexico and beyond. So all I'd say is my heart says Perez has got a chance, but my brain just says if Verstappen can do what he did in Saudi Arabia and not feel 100%, then imagine what he could do every weekend and just be absolutely on it, basically.
Yeah, I think from a fan's point of view, we just have to hope he has a cold every weekend. That's I think that's always got hope for.
Well, let's contact Perez's side of the garage and go, look, I've just had COVID. Let me come to not your garage, Checo. We'll make sure you stay away from me. But if I sneeze at Verstappen's car or leave some germs on the wheel, then hey, we're on to a winner, my friend.
That is the ultimate of mind games. That is it. That is literally taking the rivalry to another level there. But
what's that? I'll stab him. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to go down.
We don't condone that.
No, we don't condone that.
We don't condone.
Sometimes you have to do what it takes.
I mean, from my point of view, I'd love to see Sergio Perez battling and giving it everything this year. I think we've obviously just got to wait and see how the season unfolds. But obviously, the weekend now goes to Australia. First question in terms of the preview, Jamie. Are you getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch the race?
Are you?
No.
Remember when we were like kids? We'd probably be like, we don't know what a lion is.
No.
But no, I'm the same.
Yeah.
6 a.m.'s just too early.
Not even, obviously, back in the day, it really wasn't a race to get up for. They also obviously altered it last year, but I feel like even that didn't blow me away. It still wasn't the most exciting in my eyes. So it's definitely not worth getting up for 6 o'clock in the morning to watch the race. So it'll either be on tape or I'll watch the highlights.
I think what's a shame for Australia as well is it's not the opening race of the season anymore.
No.
So I think you would have had a decent audience just because people want to see the first race and obviously feel excited that it's a new season.
Yeah.
But I do think they've lost that a little bit as well. Obviously, if you're in Australia or in Asia, it's no problem. It's on during the day for them. But for us audiences, it's hit and miss.
Yeah.
I'm me. I'm not keen on Melbourne. I think I look at Australia and think it's more for the fan base, but to say that they've done that as well, because in a way F1 it's like they're trying to do all 4 corners of the world. America, Australia, South America, Asia.
It was very much a European sport, wasn't it? Until obviously the Americas have come in as well.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I think it's more a bucket list. Got nothing wrong with Melbourne hosting it. I'm just saying that it looks good for F1 to say that they go there, they go here, they go there. If anything, the one thing that's left now is South Africa. And then they've got Africa on there, it's all, they keep saying that it's going to come back, but I've not seen anything come through yet. But I won't be staying up.
No. The only one I'm really waiting for, and it'll never come back, but I'm waiting for it, is the Malaysian Grand Prix.
Why is there must be petitions?
Yeah.
That have been going on for like 6 years now. And funny enough, Verstappen was the last man to win there. So
good start. No, I love that race. I love that. I obviously that was more Singapore time, so it was a bit easier for us. But even that, I love that racetrack. But like I said, in terms of Australia, they did do some revamping to it last year to make it a bit more straight. I think they added a DRS zone as well and removing that chicane. But I mean, what are our thoughts on it? Obviously, you've mentioned with some of the fact that the drivers have been speaking today that Lewis Hamilton has said that it could take a long time for Mercedes to compete with Red Bull. It's going to take the rest of the year to potentially close that gap. George Russell says that obviously we're not terribly optimistic. So are they very much? I mean, we mentioned it, but are they very much downplaying it? I mean, we're hoping so, but another year of Mercedes waiting around to maybe go again in 2024. What are we saying about that? I mean, I haven't even looked at Ferrari because I can't. There's not many news stories going around of Ferrari. It's that quiet in Maranello at the minute because I don't know if they really want to say what their performance is this season as well.
They're not back to the old days, are they, Ferrari, when they don't let the media go anywhere near them?
Well, that's another thing. Was that Maurizio Arrivabene that literally just pushed the camera out the way? It was like...
He was like, piss off. God bless him. But he just didn't like people.
No.
But no, I think, I mean, quickly mention Ferrari. I want to see what Charles Leclerc could do this weekend. He's only on 6 points.
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz is already 14 ahead. You know, when you look at the two, Charles Leclerc is supposed to be the prodigy. He's meant to be the man that they brought in from the youth program to lead Ferrari to a world championship. That feels like a long time ago now when we were talking about that. But in terms
back when he liked your tweet when he moved.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Oh wow, I completely forgot. I've got a screenshot of that somewhere. I should get it framed so I don't forget these moments,
yes.
Jack.
Yes.
Nearly as good as Cloud Seeduff seeing my story was. Well, that was random. But anyway, back nothing about me here. But I think with Mercedes, you can't. It is mind games, isn't it? In terms of, it's still a mind game, even if they're not playing a mind game, because it's leaving you and myself and fans wondering what's the message here. Is that's what I love about quotes. You can't believe everything you read.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say about the news and stuff. You should always take it with a pinch of salt and just think just maybe they're bullshitting here. So I look at Mercedes and think of two things. They're making excuses, which doesn't make them look good. So maybe a hint of jealousy, or they really are just thinking, don't look at us this season. We ain't going to win anything. And then, you know, less attention. They focus in the background to sort out their car. They've said they've spent bloody hours trying to figure out what is wrong with it in terms of its pace. Literally from day one of the season, they've just realised and gone, yeah, this isn't a good year if we carry on like this. So I do think that a lot of it is, why not? Why, you know, if we can pick up a win earlier rather than later, or sooner rather than later, if it's Hamilton, you just never know. I'm intrigued to see what the latter parts of this season does. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's something about Lewis Hamilton where I think he's happy where he is, but I still just have this feeling he's talked to his agent and said, is there any latest at Ferrari? Because I really do think.
Really?
I think he's happy with his 7 world championships to an extent where, okay, he was literally a tic-tac away from getting that all-important number 8 that no one else has ever achieved in the sport. But I also think that maybe he's happy with what he's done. Mercedes is a good team to be at. You know, when you're in a job where there's nothing bad about it, but there's probably nothing left to do there.
Yeah.
I look at that and think I would not be surprised if he has any luck at Ferrari between now and the end of the season, where he's got his representatives to just keep finding out what's going on at Ferrari. You know, Charles Leclerc's not doing that great. You know, that there could be a seat there, or Carlos Sainz. I still got that feeling he'll be at Ferrari one day. It was his boyhood club, and I boyhood club. It's not football, Jamie. Boyhood team, sorry. Imagine them being called clubs.
Ferrari club, they might get him on deadline day.
They should do that in F1. Sadly, just not enough teams. But yeah, no, I just have that feeling. That's what I'm intrigued about with Hamilton this season. He hasn't got that. I mean, maybe Alonso is a good example to say you could be in this sport for a very long time. But,
yeah. Well, I mean,
what do you think?
To be fair, that is a very much that when you were saying that sounded like something Eddie Jordan would say. Like you're plucking a story out of nowhere and you're saying this is going to happen.
I told you from the start, Jack.
Obviously, Eddie Jordan was the one that announced that he was going to Mercedes 6 months before it was actually announced. So, you know, it does very much feel like that. I feel like it would be a very bold move for Ferrari to lose one of the younger drivers in Sainz or Leclerc to go for a 38-year-old or however old Lewis Hamilton is. But you never know.
It would go against their current outline plan,
but they did.
But it would bring back the old Ferrari plan, which is get the best in the business. Which I've said it to you, and I've always said it. Ferrari to me are like Real Madrid in F1, where they will go for the best because they've got the money to do so. Yeah. And they probably always will. So it's been such a long time. You know, Ferrari haven't won a world championship in 17 years. 16 years. Yeah. That's mad to think.
Yeah.
15 years since the constructors. So I don't know. Again, it's all about getting the right car as well. I mean, we can easily talk about this in another show, but the other thing I'd like to point out is I know it's Eddie Jordan and David Coulthard have got their own podcast at the moment.
No way, have they?
Yeah. DC promoted it on Instagram earlier.
No, I have to watch that.
They've made a separate Instagram account for it, and it only had like 64 followers when I checked earlier. So I thought, okay, it's just started. In time, it'll get bigger, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that. That'll be great.
I think they had Jake Humphrey on its first show. So the
Got
great
the old lineup.
the old lineup, the Three Musketeers, back from its prime F1 BBC days.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna have to watch that. I mean, in terms of before we wrap up, I just wanted to mention the only home driver on the grid this weekend, who is Oscar Piastri, and he and his teammate Lando Norris are literally bottom of the standings. I know there's a few drivers that are actually on 0 points, but because McLaren have had such a terrible start to the season, both of them are at the bottom. I mean, we're not really expecting Oscar Piastri to have a great home debut weekend this weekend, really, are we, with what McLaren have given us in the first two races?
Well, I mean, all I can say is that Piastri might know the circuit well and say, oh, back when I was a kid under this bit of the track, I used to put a trap here to go against any non-Australian driver. I don't know where I'm coming on with this, but he might just have put a trap on the track that no one else knows, and all of them crash and he goes and wins. No, that's just a baby. That's just a dream. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you'd hope for him that, home Grand Prix, his first ever home Grand Prix as an F1 driver, you got to be up for it, haven't you? If anything, I wouldn't even be able to sleep. This is the chance to try and impress your people. Top 10 would be a great way to get him going this season.
That is real difficult for McLaren. I don't if they make 15th, that'll be a shock.
Why are they
for
so
me.
bad?
I mean,
like,
their mission.
They go one step forward, then two steps back.
Yeah, their mission of we'll be there in the next 5 years. It's a bit like Alpine's, where the 5 years just seems to get further and further away. But
I mean, that's when my F1 technicality knowledge or engineering knowledge is completely out the window. Where when they have this 5-year plan, I just think, do you ever think in that 5-year plan the other teams around you are going to be way better than you by the time you figured it out? Yeah. I'm just confused.
By the time you've got there
and
you've actually achieved that, they've gone into their 5-year plan and got even better. So
I could have sworn they said that when they got Perez. In 5 years we'll win the World Championship with Perez. Yeah, right. You mean kick him out after one season?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the driving standings, just really quickly, Max Verstappen, as we know, is top of the standings by 1 point, so 44 to 43 to Sergio Perez. Fernando Alonso is in third at the moment with 30 points. His Spanish teammate, his Spanish compatriot, Carlos Sainz for Ferrari has 20 points in fourth. Lewis Hamilton is on the same points for Mercedes. George Russell is just behind in sixth. If we look at the constructors' standings, Red Bull clearly ahead on 87 points with Aston Martin and Mercedes level on points, so there could be a very interesting battle between Mercedes and Aston Martin this season. Ferrari in fourth with 26. So your prediction, Jamie, for the Australian Grand Prix, who are we saying is going to win the Australian Grand Prix? This could be a very easy one.
Oh, go on, I'll go with Sergio Perez just to make it interesting.
Very nice. Are
about you?
Are we going? Well, I was gonna basically. It's a bit sad to say, because there obviously could be some incidents, but it's a bit sad to say that I'm going with the same podium that's been on twice already, which is, of course, Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and Fernando Alonso, 1, 2, and 3, because I think we need a bit of spice for the season. But I feel like that's probably is going to be, if everything goes to plan, that probably will be the order that we get. But
was it 2001 Alonso had his first race in Australia?
I think so.
2002. I don't know. Well, either way, it's been over 20 years.
Yeah, I think there was an anniversary recently to say that was it. I can't remember if it was 21 or 22, but you're absolutely spot on. But
it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I think this race has to be a decent one, because obviously we have a whole month of none in April, really. I mean, obviously this technically does go onto the 2nd of April, but because of the Chinese Grand Prix cancellation and the fact that they didn't bring another race in, we do almost have a full month until the next race comes
until the
along.
Next race?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think the Chinese Grand Prix was 2 weeks after the Australian one, but obviously they didn't fill that gap. They didn't put a replacement in, like say Turkey or anything. So we do have 4. It's a bit like a summer break, but in April. So that'll be a long time to wait.
I don't think we'll have China again. I really don't. I feel like the more years we've been away from it, at some point. I mean, I don't know, but I'd imagine the circuit's funds and stuff start to decrease because they're not getting the revenue at all.
I would also say it's not exactly the best track in the world either, but
no, I get, but I completely agree. But this is what I mean. It's like I feel like countries like China. I got nothing wrong with China. I'm just saying that I just feel like it's a bucket list again for F1 to say, oh, we do it in China, we do it in Russia, we do it in US. Well, I say Russia.
That's not going anywhere. Yeah.
No. I think they'd have it more in Ukraine more than Russia right now. That's
but yeah, so you're saying Sergio Perez to win, and I'm saying Max Verstappen then.
Oh yeah, let's go with that. Who's gonna finish last?
Oscar Piastri.
Can you imagine his first home Grand Prix as an F1 driver?
I think he's going to get lapped.
I'm trying. Did Ricciardo ever win a home? No, he didn't. I think he always got like seconded. No, did he win? I can't remember. I keep thinking Ricciardo did win one, or was it just Mark? I'm
not 100% on that. I remember him getting on the podium. Then did he get taken away?
I think he did. Yeah,
because they had an issue with the fuel flow or something, or the regulation.
And that meant Magnussen got it instead, I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that when he was at McLaren.
His first race for McLaren.
I can't believe that was 9 years ago.
Christ.
Wow. That's mad.
Christ.
We're getting old.
Well, what an end to the preview show that we're getting old. Cheers, Jamie. But yeah, so that's our thoughts in terms of Sergio Perez being a title contender for this year, and of course the Australian Grand Prix preview. Before we end, Jamie is gracing your screens for the rest of the evening as well. Jamie, do you want to tell everybody what you're doing for the evening now?
Yep. So around 10 o'clock tonight, depending on the result of Chelsea women versus Lyon women, there we'll be doing a full-time reaction of the game and all the results that have happened from tonight and last night in the Women's Champions League. So do join me for that. It won't be a long video, so I won't bore you for that long. But we'll discuss the results from Barcelona versus Roma, Arsenal coming from behind to beat Bayern Munich last night at the Emirates, and then of course right now Wolfsburg look like they're moments away from reaching the semis against PSG. PSG in Champions League never work out. When they try it in the female game, they still can't win it. And of course Chelsea tonight, which Jack is a Blue supporter, so he'll be hoping that his Emma Hayes and team can get to the semi-final.
I feel like Emma Hayes has got more chance than Graham Potter this year, so we're very much backing Emma tonight to try and get that over the line.
Yeah, I'm starting to think Emma Hayes went to Hogwarts, not Graham.
Yeah, I think we got the dud Potter. I'm not gonna lie, but
I think Graham Potter is like one Weasley's wand. Not what you think, folks. Don't think like that. I mean the wand from Chamber of Secrets where it just doesn't work.
It's broke. Yeah, I feel like we've got that. I can't actually remember who we've got in the draw. It's not great. Is it Real Madrid? It's not Real Madrid, is it?
Oh, the men's Champions League.
Yeah. Is it Real Madrid or Barcelona?
It's Real Madrid, isn't it? Yeah.
No,
Barcelona.
Of course it's not Barcelona. Yeah, of course it's not Barcelona.
Yeah, we knocked them out, mate.
Good lad. Good lad. Right, well, thank you very much, Jamie, for being on the show as always. And of course, we won't end up doing a stream, of course, because it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and both of us have already stated that we won't be doing that. But we will get around to doing a review show next week, of course, because there will be a break between the races as well. So it'll be nice to sort of fill that before the Easter break, really, or in terms of the April break. So we'll try and get a review show in for the Australian Grand Prix. But thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and we will see you all in the next one. And like I said, don't forget, Jamie is back on at 10 o'clock tonight. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you all in the next one. Take care. See you soon.
See you, folks.